Hey guys, David Pingree. We're out here today at the Fouch Ranch for another garage build project, and we've got our 2018 Suzuki RM-250F here. This bike obviously hasn't seen a lot of changes in a long time, and I think they're due next year for maybe a big upgrade. But for this year, when we're trying to decide what to do on a project with this, we decided to kind of do a throwback to my old race bike. Back in 2000, the Bills Pipes Primal Impulse Suzuki was Suzuki's factory support effort, and it was the fastest and best handling 125 I ever rode, which is saying quite a bit. I rode a lot of those bikes back then, so I really loved that bike. I loved the way it looked. It was a really great race team. And so seeing these old graphics and things, this is pretty similar. There's obviously a few little companies that are different, but it really brings back a lot of memories. Really cool, cool vibe back then, and a really fun time in the sport. But for this thing, as far as what we did to it, we kept it pretty simple, to be really honest with you. The Race Tech guys went through the suspension for us and did their best with this air fork. This is probably the worst fork in motocross right now, so it's tough to make this thing great. So we'll see how these guys can help us out today. They're out here to help. We'll do some tuning on this thing and really try to dial it in. The engine, we went with a stage 1 cam and a Vertex piston. That's really all we did. Just kind of keeping it really simple. Try to throw a few more ponies into this thing. We got a Bills pipe exhaust system on here, a really nice looking unit, carbon tip and everything. So we don't get to work a lot with Bills, but Jeff Springman and Bill Cervera over there are great guys. And you know, I've got a really good relationship with them from back in the 2000 days. So, and again, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Tusk wheel set on here. You know, we got Dunlop tires. The MX3S is kind of our go-to. Some Renthal products, Works connection bits and pieces, Supersprox Sprocket. And the guys at DeCal Works did a great job on the graphics. They kind of worked with us looking at old bikes and trying to make it look real similar while keeping it modern looking, and I think they nailed it. So big thanks to those guys, and we're going to go have some fun on this bike, and we'll get back to you. Well, it was fun to go back 17 years and pretend I was 22 again or whatever. Definitely not that fast anymore, and my knees hurt a lot more, but a lot of fun to kind of build this retro look and throw back to the good old days. This thing is still a fun bike to me. I love the way this thing corners. Best part about the Suzukis, and it was what I loved about the bikes even back in 2000. You can just lean these things into a berm. It'll sweep around a turn really steadily and stay planted. I love the cornering characteristics of this. The folks at Race Tech did a revalve on this for us. It is the air fork, and I'm not a fan of this fork at all. They did make it feel better. They do have a spring conversion kit for these, and if I had to do it over, I'd probably try that. I'm just a big fan of spring forks. I like the planted, consistent feel I get from those. So something to think about in the future if these don't come with those, or if you have an 18, because that does make a big difference. But the suspension worked great. Not too choppy out here today, just some big jumps, and we didn't have any issues with bottoming or any kind of imbalance or anything else. So good job there. As far as the motor goes, it's definitely a little bit better than stock. The power is just in a real short little sweet spot. You know, if you try to lug this thing, you're not going to like it, and if you try to over rev it, this thing hits a certain RPM and it just drops off. It just starts chopping, bouncing off the limiter. But there's a really small sweet spot in the middle. If you can keep it in there, it's a lot of fun to ride. It does make good power. You can definitely feel the exhaust and the piston and some of the stuff we did. So good little improvement there for not a lot of money. I think the thing looks great. Love the foot pegs, love the tires, the wheel sets, the brakes, all the Works connection stuff, including the perch and the lever. Stuff all works really well for me. Super comfortable with it, and I think it looks great. So thank you again to all the companies involved. Little tip of the cap to my buddies over there at Bill's Pipes. Hope you guys get a kick out of this, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next build.